Okay, so welcome. My name is Bev. I'm just going to give you a little bit of background about myself before we start so that you can have an idea of a bit more information about me. I am actually a pharmacist, but about 6 years ago, I decided to do teacher training. So I did 200-hour with Yo Yoga, which was based in Claremont. And I started teaching straight after that. And I subsequently gave up my job as a pharmacist to teach yoga full time, which is what I do. About 6 months after my 200-hour, I did my 300-hour advanced with Catherine. So that's how I met Catherine. And I've also done the yin training with Carla as well. I don't know if Carla's still on your course teaching you guys. She may or may not be, but I've also done the yin training with her. I've also done Hot 26 training. And I myself and a friend of mine, Penny, who also works for Catherine, offer a Hot 26 course, a module next year. So when we do the Hot 26 version of this, with another module of Hot 26, you can decide if you like it, and then I'll give you some more information about the course that we present next year. Okay. So that's a little bit about myself. So today we're going to talk about all things Vinyasa. Okay. So can I just have a show of hands who knows what Vinyasa is, who practices, or rather who practices Vinyasa classes at the moment? Okay. Okay, so not a hell of a lot of you actually. Okay. All right, so I've got a PowerPoint which I'm going to put up, and then we'll go through a few of the slides. And then what we'll do after that is we'll do a Vinyasa class, which is about an hour. So get prepared to have some movement. And then we will come back to the computer and we will discuss a little bit more about Vinyasa. And you will have the opportunity to ask me anything that you like. Pick my brains and ask me anything that you like. I teach Vinyasa at Yoga Spirit, Yoga Zone. I teach for 2 private studios. One is Be Yoga in Takai, and the other one is the Yoga Collective in Hart Bay. So and I'm also starting to Yo Yoga Carolina is reopening on 1st of December. So I'm going to work there again as well. So I teach Power Vinyasa as well. I teach Hot 26 and I teach yin. And so I work at quite a few of the studios around Cape Town, but Vinyasa is the most popular form of yoga, and that's the one that I teach the most, that and Power Vinyasa. Okay, so let me get this PowerPoint up and just remember how to do this now. No, sorry, not like that. We have to go to, oh, shit, I can't do this now. Oh, weird. Hold on. Oh, share screen. There we go. Sorry. I'm just trying to remember how to do this. Share. PowerPoint. There we go. Okay, can you guys see that PowerPoint on your screen? Or not?
Yes.
You can. Okay, good. All right. So we'll play from the start. Okay. So let me just get a smaller version of you guys on here so that I can just hide. Okay. So Vinyasa yoga comes from 2 Sanskrit words, and it comes from Nyasa, which means to place, and V, which means in a special way. So Vinyasa is placing the asanas, the physical postures, in a special sequence to guide people through a whole host of different movements in a class, and perhaps sequencing to a peak pose or perhaps not. Okay. Sorry. The history of the Vinyasa yoga comes from an ancient text, which was discovered by Vamana Rishi, who was studying under Krishnamacharya. So he gave that ancient text to Krishnamacharya, and the text outlined a flowing sequence of yoga poses called the Vinyasa Krama, which suggested a way to link mudras. Mudras are your hand gestures that you use in yoga. Pranayama is your breath. Bandhas are energetic locks that you use in your body. You know what meditation is? Focus. And the asanas is the physical postures. So it was a way of linking all of those things together. And this knowledge was then shared with Pattabhi Jois. Okay, and Pattabhi Jois is the guru who started Ashtanga Mysore yoga. And from Ashtanga, the Vinyasa develops. So you will have quite a few of the Ashtanga movements that translate into Vinyasa classes, because Vinyasa comes from the original practice of Ashtanga yoga. Can I have a little sort of show of hands again? How many of you practice Ashtanga yoga or know what it is, or have you ever done it? Okay, yes. 2 up there. Anyone else? 3? Okay, good. Okay, 3. Okay. All right, good. So there are some of you who have done Ashtanga, so you have an idea of what it is. Great. Okay, so Vinyasa is a progressive sequence, a progressive sequence, and the idea is to let the movements unfold with a bit of intelligence. So you generally start to work from slower, softer poses, and you work up to bigger poses, and then you put your most challenging poses or the peak pose at the end of the practice when the body is warm and when your students have had quite a bit of movement to warm up the muscles and the joints. And Ashtanga yoga, as I mentioned, is the basis of Vinyasa yoga. And the most common example of something that is brought into Vinyasa classes is your sun salutations A and your sun salutations B, which I'm sure you would have gone through with Catherine or I've forgotten her name now. Forgotten other teacher who teaches there, sorry. But Laura. You move, Laura, sorry, yes, thank you. I was going completely blank. But where you move one breath, one movement. Okay. Krishnamacharya and his son believed Vinyasa yoga was a way to create an awareness that links action to the next. So basically it's an idea of a moving meditation. So it's one breath, one movement. You do hold some of the poses for a few rounds of breath. So we're not always moving statically. Sometimes a balancing pose we'll hold because it's a bit more difficult and more challenging. But most of the time it's moving one breath, one movement. So there's a nice rhythm, a nice ebb and flow to that movement, and the breath and the movements are basically linked together. So in the sequence, expansive actions, in other words, where you are lifting your arms up or where you are lengthening and opening up the chest, you do that on an inhalation. And contractive actions, like when you are folding forward or pulling the legs in towards you or contracting into the body, we do that on an exhalation. Okay. I hope you guys understand that, because that's quite important when you're teaching Vinyasa yoga, to get the breath correct. You can't really see this one too well, sorry. This is Ashtanga primary sequence. Okay, so the Ashtanga is divided into a set of 3 series: primary, secondary, and advanced. And I think there's about 6 advanced series. Each pose is held for 5 breaths. The big difference between Ashtanga and Vinyasa is that in Ashtanga, somebody who's practicing may not move on to a next pose or next part of the sequence until the previous part of the pose or the sequence has been mastered. That doesn't happen in led classes in Ashtanga. It's more what happens in unled classes or a type of Mysore where you practice on your own. So you do have somebody in the room to help you with adjustments, but that person or that guru, especially when Ashtanga first was around, gave you permission to or guided you as to whether you were ready to move on to the next pose or not. There are no rules with Vinyasa yoga. Anybody can join, and none of the teachers are going to tell you that you can't do a specific pose, that you're not allowed to move on from where you are. You arrive in a Vinyasa class, you do all the movements if you can, and that's the same for a beginner. So whether you're a beginner or advanced, there are no rules. You can join and then you just move through the sequence without having to get permission to do so. Okay. So in Vinyasa, you have a different sequence each time, depending on what the teacher is teaching. I generally sequence for a week, so I'll teach the same sequence for a week, and then I'll change it up. It's one breath, one movement, so it's quite dynamic. Dynamic means that you're moving a lot. There's not much stillness. Whereas in Ashtanga, you hold each pose for 5 breaths, so it's a lot more slower, a lot more controlled, a lot more static. In Ashtanga, there's no peak pose. The Ashtanga primary series is centered around forward folds and back bends. There is no peak pose. In Vinyasa, sometimes we teach to a peak pose, so that may be a goal of a Vinyasa class. So those are the 2 main differences between Ashtanga and Vinyasa. Or not 2 main differences, 4 main differences. Okay, so you might have heard a teacher cue, take a Vinyasa back to downward facing dog. Okay, so a Vinyasa is a 3 pose transition, which is a chaturanga, upward facing dog, and downward facing dog. So if you have a teacher cueing you to move through those, or move through a vinyasa, what they essentially mean is to move through those poses, those 3 poses. So your high plank to low plank, which is your chaturanga, I just want to check something, guys, your upward facing dog, and then your downward facing dog. Okay, just give me a sec here. I just want to try and find something else that I wanted to show you. Oh, no, that's very strange. Sorry, just give me a second here. Oh. Okay, no, that seems to be the only one. I thought I had another PowerPoint, but I don't. Okay. Right, so that's 3 pose transition. Chaturanga, upward facing dog, and downward facing dog is also called a vinyasa in a vinyasa class, which can be a little bit confusing. But if the teacher cues you to take your vinyasa back to downward facing dog, you move through those 3 poses or variations thereof. So in other words, instead of an upward facing dog, you can do cobra, and downward facing dog is where we generally meet to start our movement in this sequence. So what we do in vinyasa classes is we perform a number of poses or a sequence on the one side, starting with maybe the right leg. We take a little vinyasa, a little reset through the middle. That's chaturanga, up dog, and down dog. And then we take the same sequence on the other side. So you're doing the same thing on the right and the left, just to even out the practice, just to even out the body. Okay. There are different types of vinyasa. There's one called Jiva Mukti, there's core power, there's Baptista power vinyasa, and there's a vinyasa called Modo vinyasa. And basically the difference is the Jiva Mukti yoga is a very vigorous and fast-paced practice. The classes are themed around scripture, chanting, meditation, your poses, your breath, and your music. There's a strict interpretation of the yama ahimsa, and ahimsa means non-violence. So Jiva Mukti teachers really advocate a vegan diet because that non-violence extends to animals. So there's no killing and eating of animals. And Jiva Mukti is the vinyasa practice that a lot of the celebrities like Sting and Madonna tend to gravitate towards. So if I go overseas and I want to go and practice Jiva Mukti Vinyasa, it is the same wherever it is taught in the whole world. So I would know what I'm getting if I go to a Jiva Mukti Vinyasa studio or a Jiva Mukti class. Okay. It's the same with core power, because these classes offer a full body workout or full body movement with focus on core strength. You have 3 levels of classes. Level 1 classes are unheated. Level 2 and 3 are heated. And obviously level 3 is harder than level 2. Again, it's the same all over the world. So if I go to a core power studio or I go to a core power class, I'll know what I'm getting and I'll have an idea of what to expect. Moda yoga just changed its name from moksha yoga, and the classes are heated to...
I'm so sorry to interrupt, Bev, but are you actually sharing your presentation with us?
Oh, have you not got it? Sorry, guys.
No, it's gone off.
Oh, sorry. Oh, that's silly. Hold on a second. Oh, sorry. Dear. Okay, let me go and do that again. Oh, someone has just entered the... Okay, hang on a second. Sorry. How the hell did that happen now? Sorry. That's a bit silly. Oh, gracious. Oh, my goodness. Okay, hold on one second, you guys. Sorry. Okay, can you see it? Can you see it, guys?
Yeah, it's back on.
Okay. All right. So there was your different types of Vinyasa yoga. That was a breakdown of Jiva Mukti, core power, and Moda yoga. Moda also offers Hot 26 or Bikram classes. We're not really allowed to say Bikram anymore, so we say Hot 26, and something called a Modo Flow, which is just their sort of trade name that they've given to their Vinyasa classes. I basically want to just touch on a power yoga, what the difference is between a Vinyasa class and a power yoga class. So power yoga is taught at a lot of the studios, or most of the studios around Cape Town and Joburg, and basically anywhere you can find power yoga all over the world. It is a much faster paced, energetic type of Vinyasa sequence. There is much less holding of poses. And it's said to be more of a workout because it's done in a heated room. So we practice Vinyasa yoga at a temperature of between 34 to, I would say, more like 39 degrees Celsius. And we do have some humidity in the beginning, which we leave on for about 10 minutes, but then we switch the humidity off. So the class is very, very hot. So you need to think about a power yoga class if heat is not something that you are comfortable practicing in. Power yoga is generally in a heated room, so that you just need to keep in mind. It was developed by a man called Larry Schultz, and this guy studied under Pattabhi Jois. He studied ASHTANGA yoga. And he didn't like the idea that practitioners or students were not allowed to move onto a part of the sequence or a pose until they had been given permission by the guru. So he decided to develop his own style of yoga, which he called rocket yoga. He took poses from all the Ashtanga series and sequenced them around the joints. So in other words, instead of sequencing towards a peak pose or sequencing towards back bends or forward folds, he would sequence around the joints. So he would either do hip joints practice or shoulders or something like that. So he developed his own style of power yoga. You can imagine that this did not sit well with the Ashtanga yogis, because they were annoyed that this person had changed the whole way that yoga was practiced and was just allowing people to come and do the classes, and you did not need permission to move from one pose to the next. Okay, so it created a little bit of contention between Ashtanga yogis and Larry Schultz, who developed the power yoga. This is just an example of a rocket yoga advanced series, and if you have a look at that picture, you can see that there are quite a lot of advanced poses there. Top line, you are already in half moon. You have Pinchara Mayurasana, well, not even a third of the way through the class. You have a lot of wide-legged forward folds. You have handstands. So if I had to look at this sequence, I would probably say it's based around hip opening, because there's a lot of hip opening poses, and that's what I would think he would have sequenced this around, with a little bit of twisting as well. Okay, that's just an example of a rocket yoga class. Power yoga was also developed by a man called Brian Kest and Baron Baptista, and a woman called Beryl Bender Birch. Beryl and Brian both studied Ashtanga yoga and then took that and made it into a power yoga practice. Baron was a Hot 26 enthusiast, and both his parents were yoga teachers, and they opened one of the first yoga studios in New York, and they each developed their own brand of power yoga. Okay, so Baron Baptista, his brand of yoga is called BPP, Baron Baptista Practice. Baptista Power Vinyasa, BPV, Baptista Power Vinyasa, and his classes are heated to 32 to 36 degrees Celsius. If you have never seen this guy teaching, do yourself a favor and just go and listen to him or watch him teaching a class on YouTube. He is amazing. He's very calm, and he's just got a very nice, gentle aura, but he still teaches a very strong Vinyasa class. So it's a good idea to just get sort of idea for yourselves of how different teachers out there teach their power Vinyasa classes. Some of them teach a little bit faster, and then some of them teach a little bit slower. So you may just want to go and experience or practice a couple of different teachers' classes on YouTube so that you can get an idea of what is offered out there. This is an example of his flow, which he would teach. It starts with sun A's and sun B's, and then breaks away from that or develops on from that. And you do a lot of poses, as you can see. You do a lot of balancing poses in the middle. You do a whole host of forward bends and back bends. You do basically quite a few poses. And this practice would probably be more like an hour and a half. It would not fit into an hour class because there's just too much going on in his flow. And it's called the Baptista Yoga Sequence. And he called his brand Journey into Power. Okay, that was his brand of yoga. That's how he advertised it. It was called Journey into Power, and this is an example of one of his sequences. So how do the different studios present power yoga? Because obviously they try and be a little bit different. So most of the time it's fast-paced, constant movement, and it's obviously based on Vinyasa. A lot of the time it's heated. All of the time it's heated. And then some of the studios offer more of a core-based vinyasa class. So I don't know if any of you have practiced at Yoga Life, but they do spend about, I don't know, 5-10 minutes on the floor at the end doing bicycle movements with the legs and crunches and all sorts of stuff. So it is very much a core-based yoga class, whereas some of the other studios don't really offer that. They'll bring in core-based poses like your Navasana, your boat pose, instead of doing, you know, like a sort of more of a gym type workout, which is sometimes offered at Yoga Life. They do quite a core-based practice. So that's how they differentiate their power yoga from other studios' power yoga classes. But basically, if you're going to a power yoga class, you know what you are going to get. It's going to be fast, it's going to be dynamic, it's going to be hot, and the classes are between an hour. Most classes are an hour, some of them are an hour and a half. Okay. Okay, let's just have a look at this now. Okay, so you would have done this with Catherine, but a peak pose is referred to as the most challenging pose in a sequence, or most challenging posture in a sequence. And the sequence should be anatomically structured so that you are well prepared, or the body is well prepared to achieve the peak pose when you get there. So you work from softer, less strong poses towards stronger poses to build up anatomically towards your peak pose. If you are teaching a peak pose in a vinyasa class, it's not always offered. Not every teacher teaches to a peak pose. Sometimes it's just a whole lot of movement. Okay. And a peak pose is followed by poses that may work posing opposite muscles, so sort of counter poses. And then you always finish with a cool down, and we always land up in Shavasana, obviously. Okay. Are there peak poses in vinyasa classes? Not really taught. Arm balances are woven into the flow. So this lady's doing Bakasana or crow. What we do in a power yoga class, because we're not breaking down the poses, we'll say from Malasana squat, if anybody wants to come into an arm balance and they want to take Bakasana or crow, you can go ahead. And anybody else that can't just stays in Malasana squat. Handstands may be included. Warrior flows are very much part of the vinyasa sequence. Your warrior 2, your reverse warrior, your extended side angle, your prasarita wide-legged forward folds, rainbow warrior, which I'll show you in our sequence later. So a lot of the warrior poses are very much part of the basic vinyasa flow. So you'll get a lot of that in your yoga classes, and the sequences are always fast and flowy. So sometimes there isn't time to teach a peak pose, because if you're teaching a peak pose, you will have to stop your class to demonstrate the peak pose or to workshop it to a certain extent. And so that breaks your flow a little bit, which sometimes is not what people want, because they want to move and breathe. They want to do a little bit of leg work, shoulder work, some twisting, some back bends. In other words, more of a well-rounded class. And or quite a few people aren't really interested in peak poses. You obviously get the advanced yogis, or the ones that are more interested in yoga, that love peak poses, but it's not everybody's cup of tea. So it's difficult to bring in peak poses, because you will sometimes have to stop the flow to demonstrate it and workshop it. So that's a little bit tricky. Okay, just bear that in mind if you or you are being taught to sequence to a peak pose. So just bear that in mind. Common peak poses that are seen or offered is your Bakasana, your crow, side crow, 8-angle arm balance, or Ashtavakrasana, which you'll do with Catherine if you haven't done it already. Ekapada Kundaliniasana, handstands, Pincha Mayurasana. You can just take a picture of this if you like. Headstand, Titibhasana. So those are some of the peak poses that we sequence towards, if we are sequencing towards a peak pose, or they are just thrown in. In other words, if anybody can do it, they do the peak pose, and for people that can't, they just stay in the previous shape and wait, or they take a seat, or they take child's pose and they wait. Okay. Splits is also birds of paradise, warrior 3, your compass pose, side plank, dance pose, and standing hand to big toe pose. So you can take a picture of that as well. Very common to see quite a lot of these poses in a vinyasa class. You'll see a lot of warrior 3, you'll see a lot of side planks, dances. Birds of paradise is is offered very often, and splits is sometimes offered. It's not always offered. Haven't seen that very often, but it is sometimes sequenced as a peak pose, or otherwise it's just added in along the way. Okay. Your back bends, your poses, your peak poses are your camel, your Dhanurasana, which is your floor bow, and your full wheel, which is your Urdhva Dhanurasana. Your gentler, softer back bends are your things like your cobra pose, your locust, your upward facing dog. And then these would be considered more advanced back bending poses. So you would try and sequence and prepare the body a little more for these ones than you would for, I mean, cobra, you basically in a cobra pose within the first few minutes of being in a vinyasa class, whereas these back bends, you would have to give the body a lot of time to warm up for these. So they normally added more towards the middle or the end of a vinyasa practice. Okay. Some of the common transitions, you can just take a picture of this as well, guys, because you will see a lot of these transitions taught in vinyasa classes and power vinyasa classes. So malasana squat to your crow pose, your bakasana is offered very often. Twisted chair to side crow, twisted lunge to side crow. You can just have a look at all of these in your own time, and just take a picture of this so that you have got it, so that you can check back on that if you're wanting to just remind yourself about all of this. I'll just give you time to do that. Okay. All right. And then there are transitions that maybe help you change direction on the mat. Skandasana is your very low side lunge. Star and horse, we'll do a little bit of that in our class, and you can see how that gets used to change direction. Prasarita, your wide-legged forward fold, you can halfway lift, and then you can do a low lunge to the front of the mat, or you can do a low lunge to the back of the mat. So you can change the direction that you are facing and change the whole flow, make it more of a mandala flow, which moves around in different directions. You have a figure 4 stretch to a cross-legged forward fold, and you can change the legs with that. Curtsy squats, reverse triangle to a low lunge is commonly taught. Reverse warrior to a low lunge is also commonly taught. And you can walk forward to plank from the back of the mat, and you can walk back to plank. So you can move forward and backwards on your mat as well on your hands. So these are just quite a few transitions that you will see offered in Vinyasa and power Vinyasa classes. This is your Skandasana, in case you don't know. So Skandasana is your low lunge. Your one foot, in her case, your right foot is flexed, toes are flexed. And so you can move side to side in Skandasana. You can take a seat for a side stretch just to change it up. And you can also take a bind. So you can bind the hands, the front arm will wrap around the front of the front shin, and the bottom, the back arm will bind around the lower back to maybe grip the fingertips. Okay, so there's quite a few different things that you can do in your Skandasana. Curtsy squat, you can change legs. So I can say chair pose, and then step your right foot back to curtsy squat. And then I can say chair pose, step your left foot back to curtsy squat, and then move from there to a single leg Tadasana or whatever. And then I've effectively changed the legs. So switching from one side to the other. You can choose different arm variations. You can take a twist, which is called your dragon pose. So quite strengthening for the legs. It's a nice little shape or transition to add into a flow class, because it flows and it just makes it sort of dancey, and people will feel it in their legs, so they'll feel like they're having a little bit of a workout at the same time. Okay. Prasarita, your wide-legged forward fold. As I said, you can do a halfway lift from here, and then you can either turn to face towards the front or the back of your mat. You can offer an inversion, so people from Prasarita could do a tripod headstand, or they could do a straddle handstand if they like. That is normally not taught either, it's just offered. So if you are not taking an inversion, you will just stay in your Prasarita. And obviously the purpose of Prasarita is to stretch the back of the legs, the hamstring, mainly, as well as a few different other things as well. Okay. 5-pointed star is very common. 5-pointed star, you can do 5-pointed star, and then you can take warrior 2 to the back of the mat or the front. So you can change the direction using this shape as well. Star to horse, that's your horse pose. So you go from star to horse, is very commonly used in a vinyasa practice. We do this quite often. And it's quite nice in this horse pose, goddess squat, or your when you come into this pose, the goddess squat, you can hold it, you can add different arm variations, you can maybe let them place their hands on their thighs and do a little twisting through the shoulders. So you can either keep it static, which works the legs a bit more, or you can make it dynamic. Okay, very common transition that we did in our sequence this afternoon as well. Reverse warrior to extended side angle is also a very common transition. Reverse warrior to a low lunge is also used quite often. Reverse warrior to half moon is used a lot. You can take a half bind. This lady has got her back arm in a half bind. You can take a full bind, and then from here you can come up into birds of paradise. So there's quite a lot you can do from your reverse warrior. That's why it's thrown in quite a lot. All your warrior sequences are brought in a lot because there's a lot that you can do with that sequence to make it really interesting and challenging. Okay. Reverse triangle to extended side angle. You can take reverse triangle and move into triangle. Reverse triangle to low lunge, or reverse triangle to half moon. I'm sure if you've practiced Vinyasa, you would have seen some of those transitions. Also, just breathing from reverse triangle into extended side angle makes it nice and flowy and dancey. And so that's what you want in a flow class. You want to have that movement that's quite dynamic, that sense of one breath, one movement as you move through the postures. Remember that the breath work is just as important as the physical part of the practice, the asana part of the practice. Okay. Figure 4 stretch, you can cross the legs and then change the legs around. You can do a flying pigeon arm balance from here. You can have different variations. She has her hands in prayer. You can take your arms out towards the side. You can bind the hands behind the back. You can place fingers on the floor and take a little twist towards the leg that's on top of. So in this picture, the right leg is on top. So she would be twisting towards the right-hand side. In other words, her right fingertips would be down. Her left arm would be lifted into a twist, like a little chair twist. Okay, but you have one arm up and one arm down. Quite a nice, strong pose as well. Good opening up for the hips and a good stretch for the glutes. Quite strengthening for the legs. So today we have quite a few teachers that are influencing our Vinyasa flows. I'm sure Catherine has spoken to you about Jason Crandall. He is an American teacher and he sequences around intelligent sequencing. So he likes intelligent sequencing in his classes and to teach towards a peak pose. So he encourages peak pose sequencing. And his mantra, or his idea behind the way that he teaches, is power, precision, and mindfulness. Okay, so you get stronger from the inside out, you work more skillfully, and you practice with mindfulness on your mat so that you are present through each and every pose, and you can find that moving meditation. So it is still a flow class. It is still dynamic, even though he intelligence sequences towards a peak pose. And I'm sure that's what you guys are being taught by Catherine. Okay. These are just 2 examples of his sequences that you can find on the internet. These are very helpful, and I'll tell you why. If you look at the one on your left, which you can see a bit clearer than the one on the right, the sequence is basically there for you. In other words, the sequence is correctly sequenced from softer, easier poses towards, with this one, he's working towards splits. So the sequence is basically there for you. So if you are looking for a sequence, what I like to do if I'm a little bit stuck is I'll go and have a look at one of these sequences that he's got here. And the poses are basically laid out for me in the correct order. What I would have to do is just find a way to transition between each pose. So if I'm stuck, I will take what I have in front of me, one of his sequences, and I've done this before, and I will try and build in transitions between each posture, because obviously he doesn't have transitions here for you to work with. So I would build up transitions into the structure, and I would have a whole flow sequence without having to think about it too much if I'm in a hurry or if I'm not sure of what I want to teach, because all the poses are laid out for you and they are all anatomically correct, moving from easier poses towards more difficult poses and ending up in a peak pose, which is your Hanumanasana, your splits. So think about that, guys. It might be a little bit of a good challenge for yourselves to go and have a look at one of these sequences and then see how you could possibly move between the poses to make it fluid and flowy, to build up into a sequence just using these static poses. It's a good exercise to practice. It really is, because it helps you think about how you move from one pose to the other. Okay, your triangle to your Ardha Chandrasana is basically a transition anyway, so that's even there for you. So it's a good thing to do. Go and try it out for yourselves and see if you can build your own flow around one of his static sequences that is right in front of you, and just gives you an opportunity to do that. Okay, we have another lady. I don't have a picture of her here. Let me just see if I do. Oh, yes, I do. Okay, Jenny Rawlins. She teaches a lot of anatomy, biomechanics, philosophy, and movement. She's always bringing in different things into her classes, like kettlebells and weights and blankets and sliding things to slide backwards and forwards on the floor. So a lot of the stuff you cannot use as a little suggestion for a class that you're wanting to teach, because obviously we don't teach with kettlebells and we don't teach with weights unless you're doing sculpt yoga, which is completely different. But what I like about her, and go and follow her on Instagram, because she offers little snippets of movements that are combined together already for you. So if you're looking for something new to bring into a class and you're looking for some ideas, go and have a look at her little snippets of sequences. They put together, they're not long, they put together already for you, but it might give you an idea of where you can bring that into your class. And then it might give you an idea of where can I move from there. So I can take one of her very short sequences, I can use it perhaps, and then I can develop the flow from there. So it's really, really helpful if you get stuck. And she has quite a few different transitions. She has different ways of moving, and it's quite interesting stuff. So it's not boring transitions. She brings in quite interesting stuff. So if you're a little bit stuck for ideas, go and follow her on Instagram and use some of her sequences if you like, but bring them into your class and add on from there. She's very good. I've been through peak poses. Okay, how do we sequence? So if we're sequencing towards a peak pose, and this you'll do with Catherine as well, you think about what action can you add to the pose. In other words, if I'm going into dancer's pose, that's a lot of your shoulder, your back leg, which is lifted into your dancer's pose. You have some shoulder extension there. So maybe you would do a chair pose and you would interlace the hands behind the head, just to get that idea of anatomically preparing the arms and the shoulders for shoulder extension. If you were doing arm balances or you're doing Pincha Mayurasana, that's more shoulder flexion. So you could try and bring in anatomical poses that work towards shoulder flexion, so that the body and the shoulders and whatever you need is prepared for your peak pose. Think about which poses transition naturally into each other. It's a good idea to practice those transitions yourself, because if something does not feel comfortable in your body, most likely it will not feel comfortable in 99% of your practitioner's body. So if you are sequencing, don't just write it down and think that it's going to work. Practice your own class. See how it feels in your body. Generally, if it feels good for you, it will feel good for everybody else that you're teaching. And that's one of the things that you need to focus on, is how does this sequence make my body feel? Is there anything that is uncomfortable? Is there anything that doesn't flow? Is there any way that I can change it to make the body more comfortable, so that you feel good when you walk out of that yoga class? You need to think about what transitions you will use and why you are using them. For example, if I'm doing a lot of hamstring opening, I will use Skandasana. It's a transition, but I'm also using it to open the hamstrings at the same time. Think about whether the sequence flows or is it awkward. And that's also coming back to practicing it yourself. And if it is awkward and it feels uncomfortable, then think about how you can change it, how you can fix that. A good question to ask yourself is, does it offer an all-round type of movement? If you think about people that are coming to your yoga classes, a lot of them may only do 1 or 2 hours of movement the whole week. A lot of them are sitting at computers or behind desks, and maybe they don't get to exercise in other fashions. So their exercise or their way of moving would be maybe 1 or 2 hour classes of yoga during the week. So those people that are coming to your classes just want to get an idea of all-round movement. As I said, they want to do some forward fold, some back bending. They want to do some twists. They want to do some one-legged balancing. They want to move into a whole host of different movements, which is all offered in a sequence with your one breath, one movement. That allows the mind to switch off and allows them to move in a way that feels good. And that is basically what your yoga practitioners generally want. They want to feel like they have moved their bodies in a whole range of different types of movements, and those movements should feel good for them. Challenging, yes, but good. Also, ask yourself if you have modifications for beginners, because you will get beginners that pitch up in your Vinyasa classes. It's really difficult for them. They might never have done a downward facing dog. So a lot of the time they have to watch what's going on around them. So it's not very easy for them to flow. But think about what modifications you can give for beginners, because you can bet you're going to have beginners in your class. I like the next one. Is it fun and is it challenging? I try to be creative with sequences to make it fun. And then people like to feel like they've had their buttons pushed a little bit. So in a power yoga, yes, they're dealing with the heat, but they like to feel like they have maybe been pushed out of their comfort zone slightly. So even offering crow pose or just one arm balance in your class, which is quite challenging for a lot of yoga practitioners, makes it challenging and just gives people a sense of accomplishment if they can do something that is a bit more challenging than a high crescent lunge, for example. So make your sequences fun, make them challenging, maybe give people something that pushes them out of their comfort zone, that takes them to another level, and then they will feel like they have mastered the class and they will absolutely love it. Also remember that you need time to rest or regulate your sequence. You cannot just keep moving for a whole hour, especially if your sequence is quite complicated or quite strong. So it's always a good idea to offer child's pose, either just to say to people, you can take child's pose when you need and let them decide for themselves when they need to take a break, or you can regulate it by bringing the child's pose into your sequence and making them have a rest where you think the rest is required or needed. So there's quite a lot. If you look at all these things in this one slide, there's a lot to think about when you think about how are you sequencing in a Vinyasa flow. Okay, so all these things have to come into play, and that will help to develop your sequencing and help you develop your flows. Okay. And how can we make Vinyasa better? How can we make it safer? Obviously, intelligent sequence to a peak pose, or intelligently sequence from easier poses to more difficult poses. You can build strength by adding progressive load. So for example, you can do a plank, which is on with both hands on the floor, and then you can add side plank, which is progressively loading by having only one arm on the floor. Bring in movements that add to the peak pose. Like I said to you, if I'm working into shoulder extension, I might want to do a lot of things where I'm binding the hands behind me. So see if you can bring in movements that replicate or mimic your peak pose. Have a progressive build up to the peak pose, obviously. Offer modifications for those who can't get into the peak pose. So what am I going to do if I am workshopping a peak pose and 90% of the people can't do it? Am I just going to leave them either standing, if we're doing the peak pose from standing, maybe with one leg in the air? Am I going to leave them in Malasana squat while we do something like a crow, which is generally done? Or can I offer them something else? So I might say to them, instead of a side crow, I might just tell them to take a seated spinal twist and stay there. So at least they have been offered something to do, and they don't just sit there watching everybody else and feel like they're missing out. So try and think about what you can give in place of the peak pose for those people that can't do it. And sometimes it's even just kneeling. I might just tell people to kneel in a kneeling seat with their eyes closed, and then tell people, if we've been sequencing towards forearm stand or Pincha Mayurasana, I will then say to people, for those of you who want to take your arm balance, you can take it, but at least everybody else is having a rest in a position that feels good. And so they are doing something instead of just sitting on the floor watching. Again, make it fun. Make it fun along the way as much as you can. Make it fun. People love creative sequences. They want to come to yoga and switch off and have a little bit of fun. Here's a little bit of advice about what tools you can use to help remember the sequence. So you might want to use key cards or strips of paper to write the sequence out. I've told you that you should practice your own sequence to feel how it feels in your body. If if you are teaching and you make a mistake, please don't panic. We have all done it numerous times. I got stuck in high crescent lunge a couple of weeks ago, and I could not remember for the life of me where we were going. So everybody had to stay in high crescent lunge for a bit longer than planned until I could remember and figure out where I'd gone from there. So it was quite amusing because I was asking my students if any of them remembered where we'd gone. And everybody had a good laugh, and it broke the tension, and you just carry on. You pick up from where you left off, but don't panic. Okay, give yourself time to think. Everybody makes mistakes. We're not perfect by any matter of means. So expect it. So you will have a time in a class where you make a mistake. So good idea when you are teaching to give yourself a rest as well. So if you have everybody in child's pose, if you have a mat in front of the room and you want to come into child's pose and give yourself a rest, you can. Or give them a few breaths in downward facing dog, and while they are breathing, you are just standing and breathing. So you are regulating and resting yourself too, because it's quite challenging to teach. You're offering a lot of yourself. You're obviously talking for an hour. So there may be times when you just need a little bit of silence, not only for the people that are practicing, but for yourself. Maybe between each side, the left and the right, maybe between different postures that you can also think about where you're going. If you're rushing, there might be a tendency to make a mistake. Whereas if it's a little bit slower and you're giving yourself time to think, you may have less chance of making mistakes. So just give yourself time to rest and regulate as well. I will come back to how we cue breath when we have done our yoga class. Oh, that's a nice little question, and I'll give you an example of what I mean when we come back, or we'll come back to that. Okay, I don't think I need any of this. Oh, hang on a second. Okay. So a big thing that I get asked a lot about is your music selection, because you need to put together playlists, which is another thing that you need to think about. Not only your sequencing and your planning and your cueing and your physical adjustments and whatever else you're doing, but you also need to put together a playlist for each class. So yoga music is preferable, which means it's not your hip hop or your rapping or anything like that. It's a good idea to listen to the whole song if you are not familiar with it, because sometimes you may have a song that starts off really nice and slow, and you might think, oh, great, this is perfect for Shavasana, and be playing it in your class because you think the whole song is going to be soft and slow. And then halfway through, it might transform into a crescendo of noise, which is not what you want. So if you're not familiar with the song, try and listen to the whole song so that you don't get surprised if the song changes halfway through. Okay, especially if you are in something like Shavasana. I like to use Spotify and Apple Music. Spotify is really good because I don't know if you use Spotify, but it gives you, based on what you listen to and based on what you add to your Spotify music playlists, it makes playlists for you based on what you are listening to and what you are using. So it's really, really helpful because it basically can put together playlists for you of music that is similar to what you've been using already. I don't mind sharing my playlists at all. You can go onto Bev Sloak on Spotify and you can use my playlist. I really don't have a problem with it. Some teachers may be a little bit fanatical or a little bit not so happy for you to do that. Some people don't like sharing their playlists, but I really don't have a problem with that. I think it's abundance for all, and if you want to use my music, I'm absolutely fine with that. So it's out there for you to use if you would like. You wouldn't like to let the music follow the theme of your class. So you generally start off when you're teaching quite slow, you build up a little bit faster in the middle and slow towards the end. So let your music almost do the same. So slower music in the beginning, maybe a bit of faster music in the middle, slow at the end, and then a nice, preferably tune with no lyrics for Shavasana. I don't always do that. I sometimes add a song that has got lyrics in it for Shavasana, but sometimes it just people start focusing on the lyrics, so they're not actually lying in Shavasana and being in meditation. So it can be a little bit distracting if you play music in Shavasana that has lyrics. So just think about that when you add your songs to your playlist. Remember that the music is not the class, so please don't have the music blaring. have it at a comfortable volume that you do not have to shout and scream above your music to be heard. Because remember, it's still yoga. We're not doing gym. If I wanted to get shouted at and screamed at above music that was loud, I would go and do a gym class. So you need to just regulate the volume of your playlist so that it's not too loud. It's nice to have it sort of a background music. If you want it a little bit louder, that's fine. But don't let the volume of the music drown out your voice. Your cueing and leading people through the sequence is obviously the whole reason of coming to a yoga practice and not the music. Okay, so be mindful of the volume. And music is great. Some people think that it's not a good idea to have music in Vinyasa classes. I like music. I'm sure most of you will use the music in your classes. So just be mindful of your music selection. Okay. And that is the end of the slideshow. So I'm just going to go off here. Oopsie. Oh. Oh my goodness. I've been kicked out of Zoom. Where's everybody gone? Oh my word, hang on. Wait. Sorry. Okay, there we go. Okay, I'm back. Sorry, I'm a yoga teacher, not a IT specialist. Okay, so you got the PowerPoint eventually. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, so before we do our yoga practice, our class, I want to know if any of you have any questions about anything that I've told you or anything that comes to mind that you want to ask me before we actually practice. If you do, just put up a little hand and you can ask me anything you like. I'm here for you to pick my brains, ask me anything that you want to know about Vinyasa classes. Demi, I don't know how I say your second name, Demi G, you can go ahead and ask your question.
My full name is Demi G.
Demi G, okay.
I wanted to know, you mentioned so many different kinds of Vinyasa yoga. Now, yes. Does one need special, go do another course in that specific area? Or
Good question. Yeah. Yes. Every studio that you teach at has sort of their own brand of Vinyasa classes. So that Jiva Mukti and your Core Power, they would offer teacher training classes and they would teach their students how to teach that kind of flow. If you go to Yoga Life and you do teacher training with Yoga Life, you will get taught how to sequence towards a Yoga Life sequence. Okay, so each studio has sort of their own brand, which is why it's a good idea for you to go and practice at quite a few studios to see what suits you. Because if you're going to teach at a studio, you will have to conform basically with how they are wanting you to teach. And if it doesn't sit well with you, you're not going to be able to do it. Okay, and so the studio owners all have a very specific formula that works for their studios, that brings their practitioners in. Each studio offers something slightly different. So yes, so the training for each of them, you can get taught a basic Vinyasa flow, but if you are wanting to tailor make it to how the studio actually teaches, the best thing would be to go and do a teacher training with that specific studio, because you would get taught how to teach that specific kind of Vinyasa, and hopefully then they would employ you if you are good enough afterwards. Does it answer?
Okay, and for starting your own studio?
You can do whatever you like, okay. Which is great. Yes, you can do, if you open your own studio, you can teach in whichever fashion you choose. Absolutely. Okay. Then maybe you can develop your own style, your own brand. So yes, it's just at the big studios around, well, I can only speak for Cape Town, I've already taught here, but the big studios around Cape Town, each of them have got a slightly different way of teaching. Yoga Spirit classes are a little bit faster than Yoga Zone classes, for example. I teach at both. So I'll have the same sequence, but when I teach at Yoga Zone, it'll be a little bit slower because that's how the people like it there. That's how the studio owner wants it taught. Yoga Spirit is a little bit quicker. The practitioners are often a little bit stronger because they're more regular. When I teach at Yoga Zone, we get a lot of foreigners that don't come very often. They just pop in and pop out. So it's better to teach a slightly slower flow. Okay, your Yoga Life has a very much core-based flow. They add a lot of tummy muscle work at the end. So each studio has something that they try and bring in that's a little bit different, and you will have to conform to that if you're going to teach at the studios. Okay. Anybody else? Evan Nude? Hope I'm saying that correctly.
Hi, so yeah. I have a couple questions for you. One is, I'm a lawyer, and so And I've done awfully a lot of power yoga and Vinyasa flow.
Yes.
So I have never done power yoga that it was hot. And I've done it in Kenya.
Okay.
I've done it in Vietnam. I've done it in Cambodia. It has never had anything to do with the room temperature.
Okay.
So I guess my question is going to be, isn't that a false advertising when every studio says I'm doing Vinyasa flow or power flow? When in reality, it's like everybody's kind of doing what they're doing.
So in other words, you're saying that we should not always advertise that it's done in heat, in other words.
Well, I guess my question is, if I go to a class and it says it's power yoga and I have certain expectation of it and in reality it's not, am I really, I guess the expectations of the clientele could be different from what you're saying.
Okay.
So how do you manage that?
Okay, I'm not sure I'm really understanding what you're asking, but in places like, I know in places like India, if they're teaching a Vinyasa, it's so hot there, they don't need to add extra temperature. So if they were doing a Vinyasa, it would be like a power Vinyasa anyway. So I suppose it depends on where you are actually teaching the practices as well. But as far as I know, if you had to go and practice at a studio in America or the UK or whatever, as far as I understand it, when it says power yoga, that generally means most of the time, and I stand to be corrected, most of the time it means it's heated. Okay.
Okay. And my second question. Well, yes and no. Like, okay. I mean, I think I'll just have to, because I feel like there's so many different variations of yoga, and everybody calls it that, and in reality, not really everybody's doing the same.
Okay.
And I guess my second question is, what prompted you to change from being a pharmacist to being a yoga and how did you overcome that fear? Because I'm kind of in that stage right now.
Oh, okay. That's a very good question. I was a pharmacist for 20 years and I just got a little bit bored with it. So I was playing around at that stage about either going back to varsity, believe it or not, and doing something like a master's in pharmacology or doing forensic pathology or, just I was trying to find something else to study to get away from pharmacy. And then my gran was a yoga teacher. She taught yoga until she was over 80. And I did her classes as a child. So I practiced a lot of her yoga classes with her. And then I was in and out of it, not that regular as I was growing up and getting married and having kids and whatever. And then I got back into it properly 6 years ago. But it was really easy for me because I think the muscle memory was there from having done it as a child. And also I did dancing when I was in my teenage years as well. So it was really easy to get into the yoga. So my mom said to me, why don't you go and do what your gran did and go and do a yoga teacher training course and teach yoga? And I thought that's great because it's similar to being a pharmacist. You are helping people with health, but it's more natural, it's more rewarding, and it's a lot more fun, to be honest, than standing behind a counter for 12 hours a day. The transition was quite difficult because I'd worked in the same pharmacy for 10 years. So I hadn't had to put myself out there. I didn't even have a CV. I never needed a CV because I'd basically been recommended to work at the pharmacy. So I hadn't needed anything. And all of a sudden, I was being forced. And I did my teacher training when I was 40, so I was not 16 or 18 or very young. I was being forced to actually go out and find jobs, which is quite tricky. Sorry, let me just open the dog. Thank you, my dog. Pick up. So it was quite tricky to go and put yourself out there, but I'll tell you how I did it. My 200-hour training, we were taught in ASHTANGA, Vinyasa, and Hot 26. There is a significant shortage of Hot 26 teachers because everybody wants to teach Vinyasa. So what I did was when I did my 200-hour teaching at Yo Yoga, I then said to the owner, I do live 5 minutes away from the studio. So if you ever get stuck and a teacher is sick, whatever, please just call me. And of course, the one that I got called to teach was Hot 26 because that's the one that is short of teachers. So I was there, literally taught the class, and then from there got offered a position to teach permanently. So once I had that, then you sort of get known as being able to teach the Hot 26. And then what happened was Yoga Spirit also phoned me one afternoon and said they need somebody with half an hour to teach Hot 26. Will I go and teach it? So I started off not getting into studios teaching Vinyasa, but getting into studios teaching Hot 26. Okay, which is not what I wanted to teach as my first and foremost style of yoga. I wanted to teach Vinyasa. But there are so many Vinyasa teachers, it's very difficult to walk in and say, I'm a Vinyasa teacher, can I have a job? So what I then did was at the studios, I would teach Hot 26 for a couple of months. And then I said to them, I'm only going to teach Hot 26 for you if you give me a Vinyasa class as well on the schedule, which they did. So it's really tricky. And the transition, so you want to move from maybe working as a lawyer to working as a yoga teacher? Are you at that same transition almost? I've just lost you for a second. Sorry, hang on.
I want to start yoga more. Like I want to have yoga as my primary job and then do consultancies in terms of human rights as my second job.
Okay, brilliant. Okay. A good thing to know, guys, is that you don't earn a hell of a lot of money working as a yoga teacher teaching classes. Okay, you don't earn a lot of money. So most people will probably have to have some kind of second job. You make money if you do teacher trainings and you become good enough to be asked to teach on teacher trainings. You make more money. But teaching as a yoga teacher and just teaching classes per hour, you don't make a hell of a lot. Okay, so it's difficult. It's nice in that you can probably go and teach overseas and things like that, which is awesome if you have no children, no commitments, and no husband. But you don't earn a lot of money working as a yoga teacher. Okay, so I was lucky. I could put all my eggs in one basket and quit pharmacy and teach as a yoga teacher, which is great. But it's not always feasible for everybody. So just be mindful that you may need to do something else to supplement it. Okay. Okay, let's see who else has got raised hands. Anybody else? Okay, is my connection better now? It was breaking up, but I think it's okay now. Good, thanks, Caroline. Okay, anybody else got any questions?
I have a question.
Yes,
so I heard you talk about power yoga being also like high temperature heated rooms.
Yes.
And how is that different from Hot 26?
Oh, good question. Okay. Is that
so I've done hot yoga, so now I'm not sure if what I did is actually hot yoga or power 26.
Oh, okay.
Power
Okay. Okay, let me just close this door, then I'll tell you. Okay, so power yoga and Vinyasa yoga is a lot of your Ashtanga based movements, downward facing dogs. You'll do a lot of that. You'll do high planks. You'll do back bends. You'll do, and it's very dynamic and very fluid. You move basically all the time. Hot 26 is completely different. There's not one downward facing dog, not one single plank, not one single vinyasa. It's a set sequence of 26 postures. You do the same sequence every single time, whereas vinyasa, each time you come to the class, it's different. It is done at a higher temperature. It's done at 40 degrees Celsius with 60% humidity. So it's very much hotter. Okay. And it is much more static. So you hold the poses. The longer you hold each pose for is a minute. They have varying amounts of how long you hold them for, but the longer you hold the pose for is a minute. We don't generally hold poses for a minute in the Vinyasa class. That's quite a long time, actually. So that would probably never happen in the Vinyasa class, whereas Hot 26, it does. Hot 26 is really good for those people who have issues with their shoulders. Maybe they cannot they cannot even hold or stay in a downward facing dog or even a high plank. So if you have people that maybe have injuries with their shoulders and they're battling to do Vinyasa classes, recommend that they do Hot 26 because you are not on your hands at all. It's completely different. Very good for building up strength and flexibility, just like any other yoga practice, but it's different in that you are not flowing and you don't have your hands on the floor. You don't do one single downward facing dog. Okay, so with people, so I don't know what you did, Zama. Can you remember what you did there?
I actually did the hot yoga. Now that you're explaining it,
the Vinyasa yoga, or
there was no downward dog. There was no plank.
Okay,
everything was very
you probably
very hard.
You probably did a Hot 26 class. Yeah, that sounds like it. Yes. Okay, so that's a little bit hotter. It's the temperature's higher, and it's static. So yeah, you're holding the poses for long. There's no cueing of breath. Well, the
No,
end, but it's not, you don't say inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. You will just get told to breathe, and you breathe at your own pace. So we don't cue the breath as we do for a vinyasa class either. Okay, there's no ujjayi pranayama, there's nothing like that. Okay. Anybody else have any questions? No? Cool. Okay. All right. So I'm going to give you about 10 minutes just for a little break before we actually do our class. Okay, so if you need to have water, if you need to go to the loo or whatever you need to do, just go and do that, and then get your mats set up and ready to go. And I'll just tell you when you have like 2 minutes before the end, and then we'll get onto our mats and we'll do our class. Okay, and then afterwards we'll just break down some stuff, and I'll give you some tips and some clues and how we cue breath and a few different things to help you. Okay. All right, 10 minutes for break. Do what you need to do, and then we'll get back onto the mat. I'm also just going to go get a sip of water quickly. Okay, guys, just 5 more minutes, and then we'll get going. Oh, it's getting a little bit chilly now. 5 more minutes, and then we'll get going. I'll just tell you when you have like a minute to get onto your mats, and then we'll get started. Okay.
Bev, I just wanted to say I find it so interesting that you up and quit a job for like 20 years to become a yoga instructor, because I've just been battling with the transition, because I've been in my work for about 14 years.
What do you do, Zama?
I'm a navigating captain on board ships.
Oh my word, that's amazing. Oh
so
wow.
The idea of having to come back on land and just make the transition, it's just like, it's been such a mind warp for me.
It is, let me tell you, it wasn't easy. It's quite a big thing to do. So you have to have a lot of passion for teaching yoga, because you're going to probably be working quite hard to make a good amount of money, and the transition is difficult. But if I can do it, then you can do it. I promise you. It's easier to do it when you're young than to do it when you're older. So I would give it a go. Don't be scared. Just go for it. I mean, you can always go. I'm sure you can. I mean, I could go back to pharmacy if I wanted to, if I decided that this wasn't enough or wasn't making enough money or whatever. But I'm happy doing it. It's just amazing. It's just something that I really, really, really love. So I don't think I'll go back to pharmacy, but you could possibly, I mean, if yoga doesn't work out for you, you could possibly go back to what you're doing now, couldn't you?
The thing is, I've just been doing it for so long. I'm not used to being in one stable environment.
Okay.
So, but now I'm a parent, so I'm a mom, and my daughter's at that age where she actually needs me to be a bit more stable.
Okay. Yes,
So,
sure. I can imagine.
Yeah. So
Okay.
if I stop, it would probably be for good.
Okay. Okay. So give it a little bit of thought. If you, or would you be thinking about teaching at yoga studios in Cape Town?
Well, I live in Durban, so I'm from
Oh,
Durban.
I'm from Durban. I'm from Durban. That's good. Okay. So yeah, then you would have to go and what you could do is, some of the yoga studios like you to come and practice there. They may give you an assistant job where you can help out and clean the studio and offer you free yoga. And that is a way of getting in and getting them for them to know you. Because as I said, it's very difficult to walk in and say, okay, I'm a yoga teacher, I want a job. So you would probably have to start off by practicing at a studio quite often, let them get to know you, and then maybe asking for an assistant job, which is a way that a lot of teachers start. They start off behind the front desk, signing people in, doing all the admin, that kind of stuff, or helping with the classes, maybe cleaning afterwards. And believe you me, we've all cleaned. I'm still cleaning classes at Yoga Zone at the moment. So, you know, it's just one of those things that you sometimes have to do, which is fine. I don't mind. It's just part and parcel of the whole thing. But that is a way of getting your foot in the door as well. Okay, so maybe that's a little bit of advice you can take with you.
I'm not afraid of hard labor, so that part will come a bit easier for me.
Awesome. I'm not either. So if I have to clean the studio, that's absolutely fine. At least I know that it's clean and it's checked and it's sanitized and we won't get COVID. So it's good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Okay. 2 minutes, guys. Zama, I'd love to know if you come right. So I'm going to just keep an eye out for you in the future.
I'll let you know.
Yes, yes, please. I'd love to know. Love to know, because it is tricky. It's quite daunting. But if you can do it, I don't think you'll look back if you are really passionate about it. It's so rewarding. And for me, it's much more rewarding than being a pharmacist, because I'm not giving people medicine, which is fine and great. It does what it's meant to do, but it's more of a sort of a well-rounded, natural way of offering people health and movement, which is great.
I think that's what I love and appreciate about it so much throughout the years. It's been that.
Good. Yes. And you'll know, if you practice yoga, you'll feel it in your own body and your own mind. So you know what you are expected to give your students. They want to have that same sort of experience.
I was going to say, you can do actually a retreats, yoga/surfer retreats in Durban. I did one in Sri Lanka, and it was one of the best experiences. So like in the morning, I did an hour and a half of surfing. Then you ate, and you did an hour and a half of yoga for 10 days. It was heaven. It was so good.
Wow.
That sounds amazing.
If you do it, like just send me a note and I'll be in Durban in a minute.
Oh my God, that is amazing. And I just learned surfing last year. So, that would be,
there you go. And I can guarantee you there were so many people at these retreats in Sri Lanka, because it's just a great combination, and you meet amazing people as well from all over the world. So I would highly recommend it.
That's good advice. You can do yoga retreats. That's good advice. Well, another thing that you can do when you're starting is maybe just hire a small space for yourself. I started teaching at a small studio down the road as well before I got in the yoga, and I paid 100 Rand for an hour, and then I advertised on Instagram and wherever I could, and I charged the people that arrived 50 Rand. Sometimes I would only get 2 people, so I wouldn't make anything. But it's a way of getting your name out there and getting known, because that is also important. You need to get known. You know, people are not just going to go, okay, there's this girl called Zama that's teaching, okay, I'm going to go to her class. It's really difficult. So maybe just start off asking friends or family, or teaching friends and family, and word of mouth actually works quite well. But I also used to just advertise a little bit on Instagram. But it did take a while to build up a little bit of a following, to be honest. But you can also do that. You can teach at scout halls, or you can teach at churches if they've got space. You can maybe even teach there for free.
Yeah.
So it's just that you get experience teaching, because the more experience you get, the better that you will be. Okay.
Thank you for the advice, everyone.
Yeah, that's good advice to go and do a yoga retreat. That's magnificent. Durban is so beautiful, so that would work. Okay. Is everybody back? Caroline, Noel, and Celine, and Ronelle. I don't know where you guys are. Oh, there you are now. So, okay, you guys are coming back one at a time. Good. All right. So we're going to do our Vinyasa class. We are going to come onto the mat and start in child's pose, please. So bring your knees to the sides of the mat with the big toes touching. Give yourself space between your upper body, between your thighs rather, to melt your upper body down to the mat. Land your forehead to the floor when you are there, arms to the floor, and get really soft and heavy. So allow your whole body to relax and sink down. And then just feel a bit of softness into the back of the shoulders, into the arms and the forearms. So your forearms are on the floor, your elbows are bent. So you're not active anywhere in your shape. You're literally just surrendering and relaxing. Sitting bones heavy towards your heels. Good. Start to connect to your breath. So first of all, just notice the natural breath as it moves in and out of your body. And just take an inventory of where that breath is at for you today. And then very slowly, one cycle of breath at a time, can you make that breath fuller and deeper? Maybe inviting that Ujjayi pranayama, so creating a slight constriction at the back of the vocal cords. So you add a little bit of texture to that breath and you add a little bit of sound to that breath. And you establish a nice rhythm, a nice ebb and flow to that breath, a rhythm that you can use through your practice. So you find that sense of one breath, one movement, unless we're holding a pose, as much as possible. Allow the face to soften and the jaw to relax. And just check that your eyes are closed. All right, let's stay for 3 more really full, good quality rounds of breath here before we start to move. See if you can just let your mind become quiet as well, so that your thoughts just drop to the background. And let go of anything that you don't need for your practice for the next approximately 60 minutes. So let your thoughts be clear and calm. Okay, Demi G, I've got your message. Thank you. All right, let's make the arms active now. So reach the fingertips forward, press the fingertips down, and lift the palms of your hands up. Palms of your hands up, fingertips are down. Send sitting bones back towards your heels. And get a really good stretch from the hips to the shoulders and from the shoulders to the wrists. So really long through the arms. Good. And then on your next inhale, shift forward onto your shins and come into a tabletop. So hands and knees, arms are underneath the armpits, and your knees are just separate underneath the hips. That's it. And we're going to take a few movements of cat and cow. So as you inhale, drop the belly down and pull your heart forward into little cow pose. And then as you exhale, draw the belly in and up, round to the spine, come into your cat. Again, inhale, belly down, pull your heart and your chest forward. Exhale, belly in and up, round to the back body into your cat pose. Inhale, belly down, pull your shoulders back and away from your ears. Exhale to your cat, belly in and up, engage your arms, straight elbows. One more round. Inhale, belly down, heart and chest forward. Exhale to your cat, belly in and up, tuck the chin, tuck the tailbone. Find a neutral table as you inhale. And puppy pose as you exhale. Slide your hands away from you T-slope your chest down towards the floor. You can either have your chin on the mat, if that's too intense for your shoulders, you can place your forehead down. So try and keep the arms lifted slightly off the mat and straight. Keep your hips over your knees. And then you should feel a really big opening up into the shoulders and the front of the body as you drop the chest and the belly down. And just check in with where you are at. So either chin to the floor or your forehead is on the mat. Take an inventory of your body and your shoulders. Good. Okay, stay for a big breath in. Take a little lift of your chest. And as you exhale, I want you to slide back and place your forearms onto the mat. So you come to a forearm tabletop. Check that your elbows are underneath your shoulders. Spread your fingers nice and wide. We take those same movements of cat and cow. It feels a little bit different here. So as you inhale, drop the belly down, pull your heart forward. Then as you exhale into the cat spine, round to the upper back, tuck your chin and press into your forearms to make space for your head. Again, inhale, belly down. It's a little cow pose. Pull your chest forward. Yes, check your forearms are on the mat. Good. Exhale to your cat, belly in and up, round and push into your forearms. Make space for your head. Good. Again, inhale. It's a little cow pose. Belly down. Pull heart forward. Exhale, get into your shoulders. Press into the forearms. Lift the head up. Good. Again, inhale to your cow pose. We go for one more round here. And then exhale into that cat spine and hold. Good. Find a neutral spine as you inhale. Tabletop, place your hands underneath your shoulders as you exhale. Tuck your toes behind you. Take your breath in. And then hover your knees just a few centimeters off the floor and hold and breathe. So really building up some heat in the arms and the shoulders here as you hover the knees. Ensure that the quads are working, so your legs are active. Take a little rounding through the upper back. Can you lift your chest away from the mat? Good. As you breathe in, keep your knees lifted just off the floor. Send your bum back towards your heels like a little crouch. Then step to a forward fold as you exhale. So step your feet behind your hands into your Uttanasana and fold over your thighs. Check that your feet are hip-width distance apart and hang heavy. So your elbows hanging heavy, your shoulders are relaxed. And then you can take ragdoll if you like. Hold opposite elbows. Take a gentle sway of the body from side to side. Bring in some nice, slow, soft movements. Then come back to the middle. And let's release fingertips down to the mat. Take a halfway lift as you inhale, lengthen your spine. And a forward fold. Exhale to soften the back of your neck. Halfway lift, inhale to lengthen, tuck your chin just a bit. Forward fold, exhale to soften. Again, halfway lift, breathe in. And a forward fold, breath out. Rise to stand. As you inhale, scoop your arms up high above your head. And then draw that prayer down to your heart space. As you exhale, your hands are connected. Step your feet together, find Samasthiti. So ground down through the feet, stand up nice and tall, relax your shoulders. Okay, one breath, one movement. High mountain, inhale to scoop your arms up. Forward fold, exhale to hinge, fingertips down, relax your neck. Halfway lift, inhale to lengthen. Fold over your thighs, exhale. High mountain, press into the feet as you inhale, scoop arms up, connect hands. Samasthiti, hands to protect your heart, that's your exhale. Again, inhale to your high mountain, building your flow up, just nice and slow. Forward fold, exhale, relax your fingertips down. Halfway lift, inhale to lengthen your spine. And a forward fold, exhale to relax the back of your neck. High mountain, inhale, stand up nice and tall, root down to the feet. Samasthiti, hands to protect your heart, exhale. Good, high mountain, breathe in, zip your thighs up, your legs are active. Forward fold, exhale to relax back of your neck. Halfway lift, inhale to lengthen. High plank, hands down as you exhale, step your feet back and hold. We're going to hold this for a few rounds of breath. So power down to the arms and legs, make sure you breathe in. Round to the upper back, it's a slight cat spine. Round your shoulder blades up. Good. Keep your core nice and active. Your belly is drawing in. Keep the legs super strong. You're high up on the toes. Good. As you inhale, shift your body weight all the way forward. Lower to your belly as you exhale. You can use your knees if you need to. Soften everything down. Untuck your toes. Inhale to a cobra, Bhujangasana. Lift your chest. Exhale, soften and lower down to the floor. Lift up. Inhale to your cobra. Tuck your elbows to ribs. Exhale to lower all the way down. Good. Again, inhale to your Bhujangasana. Peel your chest up. And exhale, take it down to your mat. Tuck your toes. High plank or tabletop. You choose as you inhale. And find your first downward facing dog, Ardha Mukha Svanasana, as you exhale. So you come into your first downward facing dog, power down through both of your hands, strong in your arms. And then you can move in a way that feels good for you. So maybe you pedal out through the back of the legs, bend the knees one at a time. Maybe you take a side body stretch. Anything that feels good for you here. And gently shake the head from side to side. Just make sure there's no tension in the back of your neck. Good. Hold your downward facing dog in stillness now. Sitting bones lift up towards the ceiling. Your spine is long. Relax your head between your arms. Soften your face. And then remember you breathing with that victorious breath, that Ujjayi Pranayama. As you inhale, lift both of your heels up nice and high. Your legs are straight. Lift your heels. Exhale, heels back down to the mat. It's your downward facing dog. Good. Again, inhale, lift your heels up really high. Exhale to push the heels down. Inhale one more time. Lift your heels up, up, up. Downward facing dog. Exhale. A moment to breathe in. So take a pause as you inhale and a moment to breathe out. Good. Lift your right leg up and back for a three-legged dog. Take a big breath in. And then bend the knee, flare, open your hip as you squeeze the right heel towards your left glutes. Yep, stay there, your hip is open. Yep. So you're in your downward facing dog, your right leg is lifted, but the knee is bent. Keep pushing your chest back towards your left thigh. Power down through both of the arms. Good, now as you inhale, lift the left heel up really high. Then step to a runner's lunge. So your right foot goes outside your right hand, take your fingertips as you exhale. As you inhale, sink your hips, gaze forward. Wide pyramid, exhale to lift the hips and gently straighten your legs. Inhale, ripple forward, it's your runner's lunge. Exhale to your pyramid, lift the hips, fold between your legs. Again, inhale to ripple forward, find your low lunge. Exhale, lift up and back into your pyramid pose and hold here. Push the right heel, left heel down as much as you can. And try and square off your hips a little. Move the right hip slightly forward and the left hip back. Good. As you inhale, it's a runner's lunge. This time, plant your palms flat. Malasana squat. Exhale to step the left foot outside your left hand. Drop the hips, bring your hands to prayer at your heart. Pause here for a moment as you breathe. Push elbows into knees and knees back into elbows. Root the tailbone down. Take a little lift of your chest. Good. As you inhale, can you lift your chest slightly higher? Forward fold, exhale, fingertips down, pigeon toe your toes and your heels to touch. Halfway lift, inhale to lengthen your spine. And a forward fold, exhale to hinge over your thighs. Again, halfway lift, inhale to lengthen. And exhale to bow all the way down. Good, rise up, it's your high mountain. Big breath in as you scoop your arms up. Take a little back bend at the top, cactus your elbows down, lift your heart up. Good. High mountain. Inhale, draw the belly in, arms up. Forward fold. Exhale to hinge over your thighs, fingertips down. Halfway lift as you inhale, lengthen your spine. High plank, hands down, step back for your breath out. Body weight forward, take a big breath in. You can choose chaturanga, halfway down or onto your tummy. Check in with yourself, do what you want to do. Inhale to your upward facing dog or your cobra. So choose the back bend of your choice. Good. Downward facing dog. Roll over your toes from the belly. Lift the hips up nice and high and heavy your heels. Keep breathing in and out of your nose. Nice steady breaths. Make sure you breathe. Okay, three-legged dog. Lift your left leg up and back. Take a big breath in. Bend the knee, flare open your hip on your breath out and just pause there. Keep lifting the left knee up high so you get the stretch you need. Can you straighten your right leg a little bit more? Good. As you inhale, lift up high onto the right toes. Runner's lunge. Step your left foot outside your left hand. Exhale. Tent your fingers as you inhale. Sink your hips, gaze forward. And pyramid pose. Exhale, lift the hips. Relax your neck. Inhale, it's your runner's lunge, ripple forward, sink your hips. Exhale to your pyramid, straighten the back leg. Again, inhale, lunge forward, runner's lunge. Exhale, lift the hips up and back, pause here, heavy the right heel. So continue to breathe as you stretch into both of your legs and completely relax your head. Good. Inhale to a runner's lunge. Can you plant your palms flat? Malasana squat. Exhale to step right foot outside your right hand. Drop the hips, hands to create your heart. Take a little lift of your chest as you inhale. Forward fold. Exhale, fingertips down. Pigeon toe your toes and your heels to touch. Halfway lift. Inhale to lengthen your spine. And a forward fold. Exhale to hinge over your thighs. High mountain. Breathe and rise up through the middle. Hands to create your heart. Samasthiti. Exhale. Good. Find your flow. Sun A. High mountain. Breathe in. So make this your own. Forward fold. Exhale to hinge. Bow all the way down. Halfway lift. Inhale to lengthen and lift. Chaturanga. Find your flow. High plank to low plank or onto your tummy. You can choose. Good. Inhale to your up dog or your cobra. Nice, Ivanude. And downward facing dog, tuck your toes, hips up high, heels low. Breathe, relax your head, relax your neck, but stay strong in both of your arms. Good. Lift your right leg up and back for a three-legged dog. Take a big breath in. And step to a low lunge. So right foot steps between your hands as you exhale. High crescent lunge as you breathe in. Stand firmly on both of your feet. Lift the arms up high. You've got it. A vertical twist to your right as you exhale. Stretch the arms out nice and wide, but keep your hips steady. High crescent lunge as you inhale, gaze forward. Aeroplane, exhale to glide. Lift the left leg up and back. You're standing on your right leg. So you're in aeroplane pose. Fingertips reach towards the left heel. Can you extend the fingertips back and kick out to the left heel? Level out your hips, level out your shoulders. Good. It's a single leg Tadasana. As you inhale, pull the left knee up into your chest. And an arrow lunge. Exhale to step back. Now lean your body weight 45 degrees forward. Roll shoulders back and down. Keep a nice bend in your right knee. Make sure your left leg is straight. Just your arms. Inhale to reach arms forward in line with your ears. Exhale to stretch your arms back into your arrow. Good. Again, inhale to reach arms forward. And exhale to move the arms back. One more time. Inhale, arms forward in line with your ears. Exhale, stretch the arms behind you into your arrow lunge. Good. High crescent lunge as you inhale. Listen carefully. Twist towards your left as you exhale, arms out nice and wide. Now you need to listen. Drop the left knee all the way down to the mat as you inhale. Spin the left toes behind you. And then come into the kneeling seat as you exhale and bring your hands to prayer at your heart. So it looks like this if you want to have a look. Okay? Good. The arms up through the middle as you inhale. And then interlace your hands behind the nape of your neck as you exhale. Hold for your inhale, sit up nice and tall. Take a side bend towards your right. So exhale to tap the right elbow towards the right thigh. Come up through to the center. Take a big breath in. And then side bend over towards your right, breath out. Again, inhale to lift through the center. And then exhale, side bend, tap elbow to thigh. Release the arms this time as you inhale through the middle. Windmill hands back of the mat, tuck your right toes, exhale. Left leg up, three-legged dog, big breath in. Knee to nose, body weight forward, breath out. Good, left leg up again. Inhale, it's your three-legged dog. Twist underneath you and tap your right elbow, exhale. Yes, underneath you. Pull your knee towards your elbow. Yes. Inhale to your three-legged dog. Lift your left leg up and back. Now take it out towards your left tricep and hold it there. The knee is bent. Hold, hold, hold. Good. Three-legged dog. Inhale, kick the left leg up and back. And step to a low lunge as you exhale, land the foot lightly. Rise to a high crescent lunge on your inhale, stand firmly on both of your feet. Warrior 2, back of the mat as you exhale, so you bend nice and low into your left knee. Warrior 2, guys. Warrior 2. Yes, good. You're bending into the left knee, you're facing the back of your mat. Nice. Open up the arms nice and wide, lift the chest, lift the tummy, relax your shoulders. Calm, steady breaths in and out of your nose. Good. Reverse your warrior on your inhale. Can you straighten the left leg and lean backwards? Extended side angle, bend the left knee and left forearm to thigh or fingertips down. Reach over your right ear with your right arm. Extended side angle. If you're not sure, it looks like this, guys. Okay, rise to a 5-pointed star as you inhale, lift up through the center. And a horse pose. Exhale to bend your knees and sit nice and low. Again, inhale to your 5-pointed star, lift and lengthen through the center. And a horse pose. Exhale to sink nice and low. One more time. Inhale at your star, lift and lengthen. Horse pose. Exhale, please bend your knees. Good. 5-pointed star. Inhale to lift. Front of your mat, warrior 2. Exhale. You're bending into your right knee. Good. So you're facing the front of your mat. Your right knee is bent. Yes. Good. Okay. So you're in your warrior 2. Hold nice and steady here. Power down through both of the feet. Reach the arms out to a T. Engage to the middle finger of your right hand. Relax the shoulder blades back and down. Don't forget to breathe. Good. Reverse your warrior as you inhale. Keep the bend in your right leg. And then a rainbow warrior, like a high skandasana. You can bend the back knee and flex the front toes. You've got it. Front of your mat, it's a low lunge as you inhale, sink your hips. Pyramid pose. Exhale, lift up and back, fold over your left thigh. Inhale, ripple forward. It's a low lunge. Exhale, back to your pyramid pose. Lift the hips and straighten your legs. One more time. Inhale to ripple forward. Find your low lunge. And then exhale to lift hips up and back. And hold your pyramid pose just for a moment. Try and straighten both of your legs. Lift your hips up nice and high. Relax your neck. Roll shoulders up and away from the ears. Good. As you inhale, it's a low lunge. Forward. And a runner stretch. As you exhale, you're going to pull the right heel back and move the hips back. You're going to hover the left knee off the mat. So your left knee is bent, your right leg is a little bit straight. Good. Again, inhale, it's a low lunge. Move forward. Exhale to your runner stretch. Hover the back knee off the floor. One more time. Inhale to your low lunge. Exhale to your runner stretch. Hold. Standing splits. Pounce onto your left leg, right leg as you inhale. Lift the left leg up and back. And a Shiva squat. Exhale to squeeze left knee to back of right calf. Good. Standing splits. Inhale the left leg up. Do you guys not know what a Shiva squat is? Exhale to a Shiva. It looks like this. You tuck the knee to the back of the calf, fingertips down. Do that again. Inhale to your standing splits. Left leg high. Shiva squat. Exhale. Bend your knees. Good. Standing splits. Inhale to send the left leg up. Forward fold. Exhale. Bring 2 feet to meet. Halfway lift as your inhale. Lengthen your spine. Forward fold. Exhale. Relax the back of your neck. High mountain. Inhale. Rise all the way up. Samasthiti. Hand to pray at your heart. Exhale. Good. High mountain. Breathe in. Lift your arms up nice and high. Chair pose, exhale to bend the knees, sit your hips down and back. Utkatasana, hold. Good. Power down through the feet, squeeze the inner thighs together. Good. Make sure your shoulders are comfortable. If it's not, you can bring your hands to pray. Good. Eagle your right arm underneath your left. Eagle your right leg up and over your left and come into an eagle balance, Garudasana. Stand up nice and tall. Good. Draw the belly in. You've got it. Get your upper arms parallel to the mat and then shrug your shoulder blades down. Breathe in and out of the nose. Hold for 3, 2, and 1. It's a high mountain. Big breath in. Feet together. Lift your arms up nice and high. Release all of that. Good. Forward fold. Exhale to hinge. Soften the back of your neck. Find your vinyasa. Inhale to your halfway lift. Lengthen. Chaturanga. You go high plank to low plank or choose to lower onto your belly. Upward facing dog or cobra. Big breath in. Shoulders back and down. Downward facing dog, use the belly to lift the hips up, roll over your toes, press down into both of your hands. Stay for a calm inhale through the nose, and then stay for the exhale. Left leg up and back, 3-legged dog, take a big breath in. Low lunge, lightly step forward between your hands, exhale. High crescent lunge, inhale to stand up nice and tall, lift your arms. To your left, it's your vertical twist, exhale. Yes, you've got it. Good. High crescent lunge. Inhale, gaze forward. Aeroplane, glide onto your left leg, right leg up behind you into your aeroplane. So it's like warrior 3, except your arms are pointing backwards. Good. Can you be active in that back foot? Flex the toes and drop the right hip slightly down. Nice. Single leg Tadasana. Stand strong on your left leg. Pull your right knee up into your chest. Lift the arms up. And your arrow lunge, exhale to step the leg back, tilt your body down slightly, 45 degrees. Straighten your back leg and draw your belly in. Your back foot is on the floor. Good, just your arms. Inhale to reach them forward in line with your ears. Exhale to stretch the arms back behind you. Again, inhale to reach your arms forward. Exhale, stretch the arms back. For one more time. Inhale to reach forward. Back to your arrow lunge, that's your exhale. High crescent lunge as you inhale, stand both on both of your feet. To your right, it's your vertical twist, exhale towards your right. Now drop the right knee down to the mat as you inhale, spin the toes behind you. Hands to point your heart, you're in this little kneeling gate pose, exhale. Arms up in line with your ears, take a big breath in. Interlace hands to the nape of your neck, that's your breath out. Lift the chest, stay in the middle, take an inhale. Side bend to your left, tap left elbow to left thigh, exhale. Through the middle, inhale to lift. Exhale, side bend, tap elbow to thigh. One more, inhale, lift up through the center. Exhale, tap, side bend. Good, arms up in line with your ears, lift the chest, take a big breath in. Windmill hands back of the mat, tuck your left toes, that's your breath out. Right leg up and back, 3-legged dog, inhale. Knee to nose, body weight forward, exhale. Right leg up and back, inhale, it's your 3-legged dog. Twist underneath you, tap your left elbow, exhale. Right leg send it up, 3-legged dog, breathe in. To your right, tricep taken high and wide, pause. Right leg up again, inhale, it's a 3-legged dog. Low lunge without a sound, step between your hands. High crescent lunge, big breath in, balance on both of your feet. Back of your mat, it's your warrior 2. Exhale your arms to a T. Good. Reverse your warrior on your inhale, lean backwards. Extended side angle, forearm to thigh, left arm over your ear. Big stretch to the left side of your body here. Roll the pinky fingers in. Good. 5-pointed star. Inhale, rise up through the center, heels in, toes out. Horse pose, just one. Exhale to bend your knees. Rise to your star on your inhale. Warrior 2, front of the mat, that's your exhale. Reverse warrior as you breathe in. Rainbow warrior, change the weight in your feet, bend the right knee, flex the left toes. Good, low lunge, front of your mat, square off your shoulders, breathe in. Pyramid pose, exhale, straighten your legs, push the right heel down. Again, inhale, shift forward, it's your low lunge. Exhale to your pyramid, lift the hips, straighten your legs. Low lunge, inhale to shift forward. Pyramid pose, exhale, lift the hips, fold over your left thigh, stay there. Heavy the right heel down. Hands straighten both of your legs, but you may have a little bend in the left knee. Good, it's a low lunge as you inhale, rock forward. And your runner stretch. Pull the hips back, flex the left toes, your right knee is hovering off the floor. Inhale, move the hands forward. It's your low lunge. Run a stretch. Pull back. Half of the right knee. Exhale. One more. Inhale to your low lunge. Exhale to your runner stretch. Pause there. Now pounce onto your left leg. Lift your right leg up for standing splits. Take a big breath in. Shiva squats. Bend the right knee to the back of the left calf. Breath out. Standing splits. Inhale, lift the right leg up and back. You've got it. Shiva squat. Exhale to fold in. Good. Inhale, right leg up and back. Standing splits. Shiva squat. Exhale, tap and pause. Good. Lift the right leg up again on your inhale. Forward fold, 2 feet meet. That's your exhale. Bend the knees, chair pose. Inhale, arms up in line with your ears. Eagle, left arm under the right, straight away. That's your exhale. And eagle your left leg over your right. So just make sure you're in eagle on the other side. Don't forget to breathe. Calm breath in and out of your nose. Stand up nice and tall. Good. Level out your hips. Level out your shoulders. Good. Hold for 3. For 2. For 1. High mountain. Inhale. Big stretch after all that compression. Fingertips high. Forward fold. Exhale. Hinge over your thighs. Halfway lift. Inhale to lengthen. Listen carefully. High plank. Hands down. Step your feet back. Shift your body weight forward on your inhale. Lower all the way to your tummy. Bend the knees if you need to the mat. That's your exhale. All the way down. Good. Untuck your toes. For Shalabhasana, swim your arms behind you and interlace the hands at your lower back. You're doing locust. And as you breathe in, lift the arms up so you can lift your chest. And as you exhale, lift the feet up as well. So your legs are lifted. No, your legs are straight. Legs are straight. Yes, but they're lifted off the floor. You've got it, Sasha. Good. Pull the heels of your hands towards your heels. Stay for 1 more breath in. Lift the chest a little bit higher. Child's pose. Exhale back to where we started. Open up the knees, sitting bones to heels. Have a little break. Breathe in and out of your nose. But you may even want to close your eyes here, guys, so you can do that if it feels good. All right, and before we get too comfortable there, once you have your breath and you have your energy, travel safely back to your downward facing dog, Ardha Mukha Svanasana. We'll just do a couple of things the same in the flow, a couple of things a little bit different. Keep your eyes and ears open, but don't forget to breathe. Right leg up, inhale, it's your 3-legged dog. Low lunge without a sound, step between your hands, exhale. Good, high crescent lunge. Breathe in, lift your arms. To your right, vertical twist, exhale, right arm back, left arm forward, twist to your right. Good, high crescent lunge. Inhale to gaze forward. Aeroplane, exhale to glide, reach the fingertips behind you. We're here for a little bit of a shorter time now. Single leg Tadasana as you inhale, pull your knee to your chest. Figure 4 stretch, ankle to thigh, hands to pray at your heart. So you should be here, guys. Sink the bum nice and low. You're in a standing figure 4 stretch. Your left ankle is on top of your right thigh. Relax your shoulders. Good. Single leg Tadasana. Inhale, pull the left knee up to your chest. Stand up. Low flying warrior. Exhale to take the leg back. Bring your hands to pray. Now bend your right leg. So you're in like an aeroplane shape, but your front knee is bent and your hands are in prayer. So you're working the right leg a little bit more. Steady and strong, get out with the left heel. Land lightly into a high crescent lunge on your inhale. Lift your arms. We take the same moves. Vertical twist to your left as you exhale. Open up nice and wide. Left knee down to the floor as you inhale. Spin the toes behind you. Hands to pray at your heart. That's your exhale. Arms up in line with your ears as you inhale. Like extended side angle, right forearm to right thigh. You can sink the right knee over the right ankle. Stretch left arm up and over your ear. Good. Lift your arms up through the middle. Take a big breath in. Windmill hands back on the mat. Tuck your right toes. Breath out. Left leg up. Make sure it's your left leg. 3-legged dog. Inhale. Knee to nose. Body weight forward. Exhale. Left leg extended up again on your inhale. Twist towards your right elbow. Take fallen triangle. So kick the leg out. Yes. Yep. Left leg is straight underneath you. You've got it. So it looks like this. Left leg is underneath you. Right arm is lifted. Nice and high. Hold that and breathe. Power down through the bottom hand. Good. Hold, hold, hold. Good. Unbind that to a three-legged dog as you breathe in. And step to a low lunge between your hands. That's your breath out. Rise to high crescent lunge on your inhale. Warrior two, back of your mat. That's your exhale. Reverse your warrior as you breathe in. And an extended side angle. That's your breath out. Reverse your warrior again. Take a big breath in. Warrior two, arms to a T, breath out. Five-pointed star, inhale through the center, arms up. One times horse pose, exhale to bend your knees. Five-pointed star, big breath in, lift and lengthen. Warrior two, front of your mat, that's your exhale. Reverse your warrior on your breath in. Rainbow warrior, change the weight in your feet, that's your breath out. Good, low lunge, front of your mat as you inhale, hinge forward. One times pyramid pose, exhale, lift the hips up and back. Good, inhale to a low lunge, sink your hips. Runner stretch, exhale to hover the back knee off the floor. Pull the hips back, beautiful. Pounce forward, standing splits, inhale, lift the back leg up nice and strong. And then Shiva squat, exhale to sink nice and low. Good, standing splits, inhale, lift the right leg up. Shiva squat, exhale to hold. Good, standing splits, inhale, kick the left leg up. Step back to a low lunge as you exhale and take side plank on your right hand. So right hand is down, left arm is lifted. Side plank, Vashisthasana. Yes, good. Right hand is down, left arm is lifted. Hips are lifted as well. Breathe, breathe, breathe in and out of your nose. Good. It's a high plank as you inhale, left hand to the floor. Downward facing dog, exhale, sitting bones up and back. Nicely done, guys. Breathe. Big breaths in and out of your nose. Good. Remember, if you need a break in child's pose, take it whenever you need. It doesn't matter if you miss out some of the flow, but if you're feeling strong and you're ready to move, that's great. So we'll take that all to the left-hand side now. Left leg up and back, three-legged dog. Take a big breath in. Low lunge without a sound, step between your hands. High crescent lunge. Inhale, lift your arms. To your left, vertical twist, exhale. High crescent, inhale to gaze forward, lift your arms. Aeroplane, exhale to glide, lift the right leg up behind you, reach the fingertips towards the heel. Good, single leg Tadasana, stand on the left leg, pull the knee up towards your chest as you inhale. Figure four stretch, right ankle on top of left thigh, drop your bum down and back like you're sitting into an invisible chair behind you and fold over your front shin. You've got it, relax your shoulders. Good. Single leg Tadasana on your inhale. Pull the knee towards your chest, right knee to chest. Low flying warrior. Exhale to extend the leg back. Bend the left leg. Bring your hands to pray at your heart. So your left foot is off the floor. Guys, it's a low flying warrior. It looks like this. Looks like this, guys. This is it, like an aeroplane, but your back foot is off the floor. Good. High crescent lunge. Land softly on your inhale. To your right, vertical twist, exhale. Lower the right knee down to the floor, spin the toes behind you, breathe in. Hands to pray at your heart, that's your breath out. Arms up through the middle, take a big breath in. Extended side angle variation over your left thigh, forward. And it's a little side bend, so you can bend the left knee slightly over your left ankle. Good, arms up through the middle, take an inhale. Windmill hands back of the mat, tuck your left toes, exhale. Right leg up, inhale, it's a three-legged dog. Knee to nose, exhale, body weight forward. Right leg up again. Send it out. Breathe in. Twist towards your left elbow. Fallen triangle. Kick the right leg out. Left arm is lifted. You power down to the right arm. Lift the hips. Keep breathing as you lift the left arm up a little bit higher as you inhale. Lower the left hand down to the floor. Exhale. Right leg, unbind it up. Three-legged dog. Take a big breath in. Low lunge, step forward between your hands. High crescent lunge, big breath in. The back of your mat is your warrior two. Breath out. Reverse warrior. Breathe in. Exhale at side angle. Long breath out. Left arm up and over your ear. Five-pointed star. Inhale up through the center. One times horse pose. Exhale to bend your knees. Five-pointed star. Breathe in. To the front of your mat, it's your warrior two. Breath out. Reverse warrior. Breathe in. Rainbow warrior. Change the weight in your feet. Breath out. Front of your mat, it's a low lunge. Inhale. Pyramid pose. Hips up and back. Exhale. Low lunge. Inhale to gaze forward. Run a stretch. Hover the back knee off the floor. Pull the hips back. Pounce forward. Standing splits. Inhale the right leg up. Shiva squat. Exhale to bend your knees. Standing splits. Right leg up as you inhale. Shiva squat. Exhale. Right leg up again. Standing splits. Inhale. Step back to a low lunge as you exhale. Take side plank on your left hand. Oh, this is a little bit wrong, but anyway, take side plank on your left hand. It should have been on the left hand the previous time around. Side plank on your left hand. Yeah, sorry guys, I did it the wrong way around the first time. It's going to be a little bit uncomfortable to get there. Just get yourself into your side plank. Your left hand is down. Good. Right arm lifts high to sky. Good. Breathe, breathe, breathe. Nice. High plank. Right hand down. Take a big breath in. Downward facing dog. Breath out. Good. We have two shorter little flows, one to each side, and then we are done. We'll start to cool things down. So keep your breath. Short little flows, one to each side. Right leg up and back. Breathe in. It's a three-legged dog. Half pigeon. Bring the right foot behind the left wrist. Lower the shin down to the mat. Move your hips back. Tuck the back toes and walk the leg back. When you're ready, fold over your right shin. Drop the chest down. Just fold into your half pigeon and hold. And breathe. This is uncomfortable for anybody. Remember, you can do it lying down on your back, so it's a supine figure four stretch. Good. Try and square off your hips a little bit more. Try and square off your shoulders a little bit more. Good. Okay, place your forearms down on the mat. Your hands are hip width distance apart in your half pigeon. Listen carefully. You're coming to a forearm plank. Tuck the left toes as you inhale. Step your right foot back to a forearm plank as you exhale. So it's like your hand plank, but you're on your forearms. Dome through the upper back, draw the belly in. Hold your forearm plank. Don't forget to breathe. Power down through the forearms. You're in a forearm plank, guys. Hold for 3, 2. Sphinx pose. Hips and pelvis down to the mat. Your legs are straight. Untuck your toes. Hands are flat. Your elbows are underneath your shoulders. It's a little back bend. Check that your chest is lifted. Pull the hands back and the chest forward. Good. Stay for a big breath in. Lift your chest. Lower hands down underneath your shoulders. Tuck your toes. Exhale. High plank. Inhale. Push up nice and strong. Downward facing dog. Exhale. Sitting bones up and back. Nice, guys. Breathe. Last one. Left leg up. Breathe in. That's your three-legged dog. Half pigeon. Left foot behind the right wrist. Lower the shin down. When you're ready, fold over your front shin into your half pigeon. Lower the chest down. Try and keep the spine long. Reach the crown of your head forward. Level out your hips as much as you can. Good. Okay, forearms to the floor underneath you. Same thing again. Tuck the left toes, breathe in. Forearm plank, sorry, tuck the right toes. Forearm plank, step the left foot back to your forearm plank. And now we're coming into dolphin. So walk your feet towards your face. Interlace the hands if you like, or keep your hands separate. And then lift the hips up nice and high. You're in your dolphin pose, forearms to the floor. Make space for your head, push the forearms down, lift the shoulders, lift the head away from the mat. You can, if any of you want to kick up into Panchamayurasana, I don't know if it's in your practice, you can, or maybe just float the feet up and give it a little bit of a try. It's up to you. Nice, guys. Good. Yes. Nice effort. Beautiful. Good. Okay, knees to the floor as you inhale. Slide to a kneeling seat. So sitting bones back towards your heels as you exhale. Sit up, shoulders are over hips. Relax your hands on your thighs just for a moment. Roll out through the shoulders. So roll shoulders up, back, and down. Just bring in some movement there. Good. All right, sit up nice and tall, hands on top of your thighs. As you inhale, lift arms alongside your ears. Into a tabletop as you exhale, shift onto all fours. Tuck your toes behind you as you breathe in. Downward facing dog. Last one today. Lift the hips up and back. If you want to move through one final vinyasa, one final cleansing flow, you can go. Otherwise, just stay exactly where you are. Nice, guys. Beautiful. Okay. Don't move yet. Just listen to where you're going from your down dog. You're going to come into Malasana squat. That means your feet are going to land outside your hands. As you inhale, lift the heels, bend the knees, gaze forward. Can you jump your feet outside your hands, guys? Yes. Well done, Trudy. Good. Good efforts. Hands to create your heart. Very nice. Good. All right. Stay in your Malasana squat. Press elbows into knees. Lift the chest. Make space for the lungs to breathe. Bow chin down towards fingertips and close your eyes. We've done a lot of external rotation, so we're going to do a little twist in Malasana squat. We're going to come into internal rotation in the hips, so you need to watch and you need to listen. If you would like to face the screen, you can just turn in your Malasana squat and face towards me if you want to take it on the long edge of your mat, so that might be a bit more comfortable. If I was in a class, I would be demonstrating it at the front. Okay. Fingertips down to the floor in front of you. Actually, keep your hands to pray. It's a little bit easier. I want you to shift all the weight into your left foot and tap the right knee down to the mat. Literally, just tap the right knee down. Good. Place the left fingertips down behind you. As you inhale, lift the right arm up. And as you exhale, you twist. So you hook the elbow outside the knee and you look over your left shoulder. Don't drop the hips too much, otherwise that internal rotation in the right hip can be a little bit spicy. So just pull the belly in, tuck your tailbone so you get more of a twist through the spine and upper back as you look over your left shoulder. Good, and then gaze forward. Press into the back fingertips, come back into your Malasana squat. So open up, bring your hands back to prayer at your heart. Good. Okay, we take it to the other side. So shift the weight into your right foot. Tap the left knee down to the mat. I'm mirroring you guys. Fingertips down. Okay, as you right hand behind you. As you inhale, lift the left arm up. And as you exhale, twist and you look over your right shoulder. So twisting as much as you can through the upper back by pulling the belly in. Good. And then gaze forward, come back into your Malasana squat. Good. Hands to pray to your heart. Good. Okay, sit down on your bottom and then just turn to face the front edge of your mat. All right, move your hips back so you can straighten your legs out in front of you for Paschimottanasana. So sit forward on the sitting bones. As you inhale, lift the arms alongside your ears. As you exhale, fold into your Paschimottanasana. Take a grip wherever you like. Lengthen through the lower back, roll shoulders back and down. And just feel that stretch all the way into the back body. Now relax your head, relax the back of your neck just a bit. Good. And take a lift out of your Paschimottanasana. Shift yourself way forward on your mat. So move forward on your mat. Bend the knees and soles of the feet to the floor. Check that your feet are hip-width distance apart. So you're sitting in front of your mat, knees bent. As you breathe in, reach the arms forward. Tuck your chin. Slowly as you breathe out, you're going to roll all the way down onto your back. So keep rolling the shoulders forward and massage one vertebra at a time all the way down. Pull your knees to your chest, take a light grip on your shins. Maybe take a gentle rock from side to side, massage the lower back. That should feel really good. Then come back to the middle. Arms and legs up for Viparita Karani, legs up the wall. Lift the fingers, lift the toes. Circle out into the wrists and the ankles. Just bring in some movement here. Shoulders are down and relaxed. Good, take a happy baby. Hold the outside blades of your feet open. The knees, elbows inside knees. Tailbone, lower back stays pressing down, and so does the back of your head. Pull the feet down, drag the knees towards the armpits. Good. Gather your knees into your chest. Take a little grip of your shins. And then curl yourself up into a tiny little ball. Wrap your arms across your shins. Close your eyes. So squeeze yourself up into a really small shape. Shoulders are lifted and tailbone is lifting just a little bit. Close your eyes. Set your intention for your Shavasana, but don't move yet. Good. And then take a big breath in as much as you can. Balloon belly up towards your thighs. Fill up your lungs. Shavasana is your exhale. Gently release into your final shape, coming into your resting pose, into your Shavasana. I'm going to give you about 2 minutes here. So if you feel like you're going to get cold and you need something to put on or over you, then just do that first. You can have 2 minutes to rest in your Shavasana, and then we'll have a little bit more of a discussion. So don't worry about that yet. Just find a bit of softness and stillness as you take your corpse pose. And now the whole body to be super, super relaxed and heavy. Eyes are closed. Good, guys. Just let the body take rest. Let the mind be quiet. Maybe do a gentle body scan and just scan all the way from the crown of your head to the very tips of your toes. Just notice how you're feeling on a physical level. And then just check in with how you feel mentally. Has anything shifted for you over the last 60 minutes? Does anything feel different? That's okay, Zani. Is it Zani? Don't worry about that. That's fine. Okay, Zani. Okay, when you guys are ready in your own time, you can slowly make your way out of your Shavasana. Just maybe find yourself in the fetal pose first, if you like, before you lift yourself up and out into maybe a seat. Just taking your time to come out of that rest. So don't rush. Okay, is everybody no? Okay, Caroline, you can stay there a little bit longer if you like. Okay, guys. Namaste, guys. Thank you for sharing practice. I know that you had to, but thank you anyway. Namaste. Thank you. All right. We have about 10 minutes. I'm going to just give you some tips and you can ask any last questions that you may have. I first want to know from all of you how you found that flow. Did anybody absolutely hate it? Did you like it? Did it feel flowy? Did it feel dancey? Did it feel like you had a little bit of everything? What do you guys think? Let me unmute you all, actually. Sorry. No, sure. Okay, so unmute all. Okay, so anybody that wants to just give some feedback, that'll be great. Did anybody absolutely hate it?
No.
Okay, good. Devi G, you want to say something?
I normally do this flow in my studio that I go to.
Yes.
But it's just funny that I think doing so much yoga lately, my old injury of mine has really come to the surface.
Yeah.
And I was struggling quite a bit. But it was funny how in my head I was kind of like thinking of modifications for myself, where normally in the class, if my knee played up, I would just wait. So it was really nice that I'm starting to integrate that. But
that's good, because think about modifications that you might want to give to people who are battling or beginners, if it's relevant. Good. Okay. Anybody else want to say anything? Okay. Did you find it? Yes, Caroline.
I really enjoyed it. Like I really liked it.
I know,
and I really loved, yeah.
You
and I really enjoyed your. No, I'm definitely going to come to the Claremont opening. So you just let me know when.
I will.
Yeah, like I'll put it in my calendar. I'm so excited.
Okay.
But awesome. I really love the transitions. And it's so funny because like just when you think you've seen it all, you see something different. Yeah, so that was really, it was so enjoyable. Like the one transition where we come from, I think it was the kneeling one, and then you go to the side. Yes. That was really cool. Okay, yeah, and it just makes the whole yoga thing just a lot more enjoyable, because sometimes it can get a bit repetitive. So this was like fun, and it was very dance like. And I actually started sweating, so that was
good. Okay, good. Good. It was like an unheated, heated vinyasa. That's great. Good. Thanks for your feedback. I always try and bring in something a little bit different. For me, if I go to a yoga class and it's repetitive, that's okay. But maybe just teach me one thing that I don't know. Whether it be a slightly different way of doing a pose or a slightly different transition, I don't mind. But just give me one thing that's different and I'm happy. So maybe think about that. You know, we've only got a certain number of poses that we teach. We can't invent poses, guys. Okay, so the yoga poses, they're only a limited amount. So we're basically sequencing the same poses, but we need to change up our sequences to make it interesting. Otherwise, we'll all be teaching the same thing and it'll be a set sequence. So if you can bring in one different transition or one different modification in a pose, or one different way of doing it, or something different, maybe lifting one foot at a time in your dolphin so you can get the feel of floating to pinch, or whatever you want to do. But I'm happy if I go to a yoga class and it's repetitive, that's fine. But if I learn one thing new, I'm super happy. Maybe something that I haven't seen before, I haven't felt before, I haven't tried before. So try and be a little bit creative around those general poses, because we only have a certain number to work with. Okay. The other thing I wanted to say to you was, I want you to listen to this cueing of breath, and I want you to tell me if you can tell the difference. Okay, so I'm going to lead you through a little flow, and I'm going to cue the breath. And listen carefully. I'm going to do it twice. Each time will be slightly different. You can notice which one might feel better for you, and I'll talk to you about it afterwards. Okay, so it would be inhale, lift your arms up, high mountain. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, high mountain. Exhale, samasthiti. Okay. Listen to this way of cueing it. Tell me the difference. High mountain, inhale. Forward fold, exhale. Halfway lift, inhale. Forward fold, exhale. High mountain, inhale. Samasthiti, exhale. Does anybody notice a difference about the cueing of the breath? Yes, Demi G.
Well, the first one, the breath was first and the movement followed, and the second one was the opposite, but I feel like the second one was correct.
Okay.
More correct.
So, most teachers teach the first way. They cue the breath first and the movement second. I teach mostly the other way. I cue the movement first, and it's like automatically the breath sort of follows. I get a little bit stuck if people are cueing the breath first, because I'm breathing and I'm waiting with my breath held to see where I'm going next. Whereas if I cue the movement first, high mountain, inhale, forward fold, as I'm forward folding, I'm breathing out anyway. So that was something that transformed my teaching. It helped me to get the flow more even and consistent. It helped me to get people where I wanted them to go without being stuck, sort of not sure where you're going. It's my personal opinion. You can cue the breath either way. They're not incorrect. Neither of those are incorrect. But go to classes, listen to how the breath is cued, and then you decide when you teach what feels better for you. Okay, just a little tip. Try it out for yourselves. See what works for you. 2 different ways of cueing the breath. I found the second one a little bit smoother. Yes, even.
Actually, I found the second one smoother in a sense that it lets me enjoy the pose, right?
Yes.
So like, you're not moving so fast, because when you do the first one, you say inhale, and mountain pose, you just kind of automatically.
Good. Yes.
Well, high mountain pose, inhale, like it's just, I don't know, I just felt like I could enjoy the pose a lot more.
Yes, good. Okay, that's awesome feedback. Even the way you said it there was beautiful. Even the way you cued it just now, right now, it was beautiful. So I could feel that was nice and smooth, even the way you just cued it. And I know you weren't even concentrating on it, but it just gives you an idea of where you're going. So and the breath will sort of come naturally, because as you forward folding, you're breathing out from high mountain. As you forward fold, if I cue forward fold, you're going to start to breathe out anyway. Okay, so I just find that the breath follows the movement a little bit easier than the other way around, but you guys must try it out. Any other questions? You guys are all going to be expert Vinyasa teachers. Fantastic. I have one more thing to say. This is just from personal experience. I'm going to give you 2 little stories. So talking about just trying to change things up and do things a little bit differently. I taught that flow, and from our arrow lunge, instead of reached both arms forward and both arms back, I did reach the right arm forward, left arm back, inhale, and then change it around, left arm forward, right arm back, exhale. And I did that differently, just that. And one of the students came to me and they said, having to think about right and left in that movement, he lost his flow and his zen completely. So it's amazing how, if you make things a little bit too complicated, because now they're having to think more about left and right, just for one little movement, he found that it disrupted his flow because he had to think really left and right, Okay. Wasn't a big movement. It wasn't complicated, but he just found that interrupted his flow. So as much as you can, try and keep the flow, try and keep it as simple as you can, clear instructions, and try not to, like, try that out that day and I won't do it again, because it disrupted that person's flow because they were focusing so much on which was right and which was left. And then when we came around and we did it the other time, it was the same thing. Okay. So just be mindful of trying to keep that flow, because that's what people want. It's their movement. It's the only thing that they might be doing the whole week, as I said earlier. So they want to feel like they've had a well-rounded experience, a little bit of everything. Their body's moved in a total, complete way, basically. Okay, so even though there are repetitive movements, you add different things in, change it up a little bit, and give them a well-rounded experience. Last thing I want to say is personal advice again. Just be authentic when you teach. If you don't believe in mudras, or chanting isn't your thing, or whatever, and you don't believe in bandhas, then don't teach it. Teach something that you are comfortable with, because if you teach something that you are not comfortable with, it comes across as inauthentic. Okay? If you hear a yoga teacher say something that sounds really good, don't just repeat it parrot fashion. Try and think of something unique for yourself to say. Yeah, your life experiences will help you. Everything that you're going through on a day-to-day basis will help you. Look for things in nature to bring into maybe your closing shavasana if you have something to say. But just teach, just be yourselves. Don't try and be anybody else. And I promise you that will make you the best teacher ever. Okay, just be authentic, be yourself. Teach from a place that comes from your heart, which I know all of you will do. But that is the best advice that I can give you. Okay, and have fun. It is such fun when you get it right. You got a lot to focus on, you got a lot to think about, but once you get it, it's really fun, and it's very, very rewarding. So if any of you are going to go and teach Vinyasa, fantastic. I hope to see some of you out there along the way. Last minute, any questions? Anybody? No? Great. We're finishing like almost smack bang on time. So I will see you, I think next week we do a little bit more on Vinyasa, and the week after I think we do Hot 26. I've got 2 more sessions with you. So enjoy your week until I see you next weekend, and enjoy your yoga. Be safe, no injuries, guys, and have fun. You're very, very lucky to be doing it with Catherine. She's amazing. Laura is brilliant. They are amazing, amazing. My 300-hour with Catherine and Laura changed my whole practice completely. It was the best thing I ever did. So you guys are lucky. So enjoy it. It's a good experience. Okay. Namaste, guys. Have a beautiful, beautiful rest of your Sunday. And I will catch up with you next week. Okay.
Thanks.
Bye, guys. Pleasure.
Okay.
Bye. Pleasure, guys. Bye.